Your mom doesn't have other children, correct?
No, she does not.
And does she have siblings?
She does.
And were you close with them?
When we were younger, yes, but all her sisters live spread out over the United States, so it was really hard collectively to come together.
Okay.
So, in a sense, no, we weren't that close.
Right. But you do have white cousins, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to be closer, but it's like at this point, we're adults and we have different lives and we have different lifestyles. So it's, it's just a matter of us not being able to relate to each other as well. And not because they're white, but just because they're people I don't really know.
I feel like there was one thing that I was like, oh, we have got to talk about this, because I feel like it's part of the crux of the issue. Well, you want to talk about maybe feeling like our white parents don't know how to connect to us?
Yes, that's one thing that I've struggled with, and even more so as I get older. My mother never talked to me about race, any form or fashion, and as I get older and I'm looking for the meaning of life and my purpose here, I'm reaching out to my mother, asking her about her journey, and just trying to get deeper to where, what she was thinking, the journey that she traveled, and maybe some of the obstacles that she's reached. And each time I try and talk to her about this, she doesn't really have an answer for me. And I thought maybe it was just her, maybe it was just like she wasn't a good communicator and she didn't know how to distinguish her own feelings. And there would be days I would ask her questions, simple question like, do you feel like you've served your purpose in life? Which I feel like, any individual should be able to answer fairly easily, whether it's yes or no. She couldn't answer that for me, and I would spend days crying about stuff like that because I felt like I couldn't relate to her, or I wasn't connecting with her. And after having the conversation with you, I'm realizing that maybe she's feeling like she's not connecting with me because she feels like there's something bigger in between us than just a matter of a mother-daughter communicating effectively. And maybe she feels that she can't really relate to me because I'm, mixed, and she has no idea what that means to be mixed. Truth of the matter is, we'll never know. So, even if I ask her, I don't even know if she would understand that. So,
yeah. And my take on it was that I often wonder, I think part of the richness of being black is that it's a deep experience and that you feel things deeply and that there's a little bit more room to talk about it. I think amongst each other anyway. And I kind of can look at whiteness and say, well, there's a lot of just trying to maintain the peace. Everything's good. It's status quo. We don't need to talk about anything that's going to shake things up.
Right.
And I don't really know what my point in bringing that up is, other than it's one of my observations about the differences. But I think we can, like, in the churches, we were talking about some of the differences, and I have felt uncomfortable in both black and white churches.
As have I.
Yeah, and which I consider myself also a spiritual person, and I definitely believe in God and I believe in Jesus, but I am not religious.
Yeah.
At all. And I don't know if that goes, I don't know if I just kind of think I don't really belong in groups. It almost seems like.
I feel the same way, and I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why I've placed so much emphasis on myself being an individual and not conforming to any particular group or rule or setting. And I'm kind of all over the place, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I've never wanted to be, not so much that I haven't wanted to be, I've just been, I don't even think it's been conscious either. It's just been something that just feels natural for me, like if anything feels too conforming, to just kind of back out of that and find my own way. Like I don't need to have rules placed on me, not to say I don't follow rules.
Right.
I'm very respectful, but anything that's going to conform me or tell me how I should be living my life is something it's not for me.
I feel the same way a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that your white grandfather was racist?
I think that he had issues, but I honestly think his issues stem more from my father being abusive towards my mother than anything else. Because my grandfather never, like, I never felt, this is one of the reasons why I never knew that I was any different, because not one person in my family ever pointed that out to me, and everybody treated me just like every other cousin, and if not better. They never had to, like, overact or try hard to make me feel comfortable or to love me. Like,
it was very natural.
It was, exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any tensions with black women due to, like, a light skin, dark skin issue, or good hair versus
I hear it, but
bad hair?
I maybe from growing up, I'm kind of conditioned to be oblivious to stuff like that because it's just so trivial to me. You know, girls will make comments like, "Oh, your hair is this and that," and I wish I had hair like that. But I always grew up wishing I had hair like,
yep.
You know, my friends who had straight hair that didn't have to do anything to their hair, and they could wake up and run the brush through it 3 times and it'd be good. Like, you know, and people don't understand, like, you know, for me to do my hair means I have to spend 30 minutes in the shower combing my hair out, and on top of that, put products in it. If I don't put products in it, then it's big, and, you know, and I used to be very conscious about that in high school. Kids used to tell me I had a fro. My hair would be like this, and I had a fro. So it made me very self-conscious, because that's there's an age where anybody tells you anything, you're
right.
second
guessing
different. Everything they said. Yeah. So I used to wear my hair back in a ponytail or a bun all the time, and because I was just trying to keep it as small as I could keep it. And it wasn't until I probably wasn't about 24, 25 till I actually got comfortable wearing my hair out and just letting it do whatever it wants to do.
Wow.
And then it wasn't until 29 now, 27, when I actually started styling my curly hair and, like, stopped straightening my hair as much.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did your mom have much advice, or did she know how to do your hair? Did you just kind of figure it out?
I just had to figure it out on my own.
And so so you didn't really straighten it until, or did you have the tools to straighten it when you were still living with her?
I used an iron.
An iron? That reminds me of the movie Hairspray. How did that work out?
It was okay, actually.
Uh-huh.
And it would get my hair straight and it would stay. It worked.
So how did you get, like, close to your head? That's always been, like, when I imagine doing that.
I would straighten it. Like, I would use the ironing board. I would straighten it all out, and then I would go back over it with curling iron and just, like, get the ends.
Oh, good thinking.
Very resourceful.
Yeah, well, when you have no choice, you just figure it out, I guess. What do you think about Obama being called the first black president?
I hadn't put much thought to it, but I think it's awesome. I think, you know, he's a very outstanding man. So,
whatever color.
Regardless of race, it only makes me happier to see a positive male black person, you know.
Yeah. It's exactly what we need.
Exactly. Especially for, like, the black culture, we're messed up as a race, that side of me anyway. We have so many issues that you have a huge portion of people that are trying to change that, and you have a huge portion that are fighting against it. So we're constantly clashing with each other, and you know, there's always this talk about unity and working together, but within the black community, we are our biggest enemies, and that's sad. It's sad to me. So
what do you think that fighting against, what I see to be, I mean, maybe it's my jaded opinion, to be the betterment of the race?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously those people don't see it that way, but
right.
Do you have any insight?
You know, and honestly, I don't think it's so much they're against it. I think it's just that they're ignorance is bliss, and sometimes it's easier just to conform or to play the part than to actually
change.
Yeah, exactly. Take responsibility to change. So And it's a big task, and when you're talking about trying to make a difference in that community, it's not a matter of just saying I'm just going to talk to a couple people. Like it's a lot that goes into it, and then you find yourself being ridiculed and called now you're Uncle Tom, or you're acting like a white man because you're trying to better the community. But in reality, it's just people are afraid of change. Like fear of change is one of the biggest fears amongst all people.
That's so true.
What are you gonna do when somebody's afraid? Like you can't, until they get over that fear, they're gonna be fighting.
And I think that's another like a good reason for. I mean, I don't think that's why Barack says he's black. I think that's how he that's a conclusion he's come to and how he genuinely feels. But for him to represent a black man and to say we are the change we have been waiting for, I think it's encouraging to black people who may have been timid about
coming forth.
With the change. I mean, this is just a realization I'm coming to in the conversation.
I definitely agree.
That's very positive and wonderful.